Hello everyone, I want to give you an update on how the progress is going on the barn. Things do take a while with this contractor I have, but we're moving along. Basically got the entire barn concrete slab poured and they did a fabulous job. It is so smooth. He used it, went over it over and over and over again, and it is solid, smooth, so it came out really nice. The color is a little different depending where it is, but you can see it is totally smooth and no pitting, and cut out perfect. I waited to take off the framing to let the water set in on the sides to keep it extra strong. Soaked it down for the last 7 days, 3 times a day. Kept it so it'll cure. I learned a new thing every day. Concrete doesn't harden by drying. It hardens by a chemical reaction with water in the concrete. And the water in the concrete chemical reaction cause crystals to grow inside the concrete. So if it dries out quickly, it can't continue to build the crystals, and the concrete will actually be weaker and porouser than if you keep it wet. And they actually build ponds over concrete. You can look it up and Google it, where the concrete actually sits underwater to get it recurred well. Well, underneath this has plastic. I had the framing on the outside that held the moisture in. I also learned that contractors take the framing out immediately because they have to go to the next job and they frame out something else. But if you do it yourself, leave it on there for the week. It doesn't hurt anything. It actually helps it. It holds the moisture in. Lets that chemical reaction continue for a week. So that was a good tip from my concrete guy that came and poured, and he said, he takes his right away because he's got to go to the next job. And I got about $600 of wood here. It's prices everyone knows is through the roof. I'm going to use that also for some of the housing when I build the house. And also, I got this slab built. It looks so beautiful. I showed the wife, and she said, "We need a driveway." I was like, okay, we'll get a driveway. Happy wife, happy life. It makes sense. So I'm off, and what I've been doing this week is framing out a driveway. So you don't need a footer for a driveway, but I'm putting one in 8" by 8". I built this up a lot. I don't know if you can see this, but I have built it up, and I compacted it and everything. But I just always under that logic, if you're going to do something, do it right the first time. Don't skip corners. Keep it from cracking, sagging, washouts. Spend a little extra time and money now, save you aggravation later. So I'm going to have 8" all the way around. It's a 42 by 20 driveway. So you give you a perspective. I walk up here. See the goats out there inspecting the concrete work, and you can see it's going to be a nice big parking pad. And we planted a magnolia there. I'm going to bring in the topsoil over there, plant grass. It'll go all around and make it nice. And then we'll go through there. I'll order a little extra concrete again like I did last time, and then I frame out. A neighbor gave me a good idea of framing out some extra little slabs that you could use elsewhere in case you have more, and I had leftover, and so I made this 3 foot by 5 foot sidewalk entrance pad where the door is going to go into the back of the barn here. So I also made another slab for a windmill, and this time I'll make one for the air conditioner for when I build a house. I'm going to do 48 by 48. And I'll probably make one more 3 by 5. That's the biggest my tractor could pull. That thing is massive, 6" thick. It's heavy. But I'd rather have the extra concrete, because if you run short, what the driver does is he's got to drive back and go get it. Meanwhile, your concrete's setting, and they're going to charge you an extra fee to go get a makeup fee. So some people just order extra and let them go dump it somewhere or throw it away, which they'll do. And I think they break it up and reuse some of that stuff. But I figure go ahead and do it where I get something out of it and don't have to pay the extra to get back out. So gives you some ideas if you ever decide to do your own home building. And the goats make a fantastic company to help you. Although Millie did run into the wet concrete on the, luckily it was on the sidewalk there. I grabbed her instantly. And then for like 2 weeks she wouldn't walk on the slab once it was dry, but as you can see, they become quite accustomed to the concrete now. Word of logic is, if you're going to do this, again, it says don't use metal. I'm going to put rebar. I'm just going to use number 4. You could probably even use 3, I think, when you Google most of it, but Home Depot has 4, and I'm just going to do the corners and the sides. So basically I'll do the perimeter with it, and then I'm going to use the fiber in the concrete, which I'm not a real big fan of. A lot of people swear by it, but when I look at it, it just seems that metal's better, but metal's gotten very expensive. So I bought at Home Depot some of the little 4x8s that I'm going to put on the corners here. So I'm going to have the rebar that bends around, and I'm going to put the little panels on each of the corners, because that's where your sagging is going to happen most of the time. And then instead of 4 inches, I went 5 inches. Again, I'm paying a little bit more, but I'm doing it myself. So I'm still saving a little in the end, not as much as I could, but the job isn't to save money, it's to do it right. I always say, you know, like we said, do it right the first time. You don't have to do it again later. And have the right equipment. You know, it saves you a lot of time not running back and forth, picking up equipment. And in my previous job, that was always my big thing, is give the guys the proper equipment, builds morale, saves on overtime from running back and forth or stress at the end of shifts. And sometimes we've tried to find more ways to save money and cut corners, and it ends up costing us more in the end. And so just say have everything ready. I had the compactor, compacted this down. I mean, I think I have this set. I put in piping because I'm going to put a sink right there inside the door. So the inspector out here let me pre-do it without pulling a plumbing inspection or plumbing, because it's going to be hooked up later. But I have that going out down throughout the slab. It's going to pipe out eventually, connect, and that way I'll have water. So the car lift will be in the center, so as you pull in here, the main door is going to be straight in front of us. It's going to be 12 by 12. On each left and right, it's going to be 10 by 10. The center is going to be drive through to the other side and go out the back if you want to. And I'm going to put the lift right in the center. And then I'll have the sink right there at the front with water. And I'm going to hook a pressure washer up there constant. It'll just be ready to go anytime you want it. Plug in electric one. So got to wash the car or something, just pull it in the bay, or pull it right here where I'm standing, spray it down, and then I have a wet vac on the left side between the two garages there, so you can just pull the vacuum out the car, and then push it back, and it'll be ready all the time where you don't have to get everything out. So when you're out in the country, it takes 30 minutes to get in the city, so to wash a car is not really worth an hour drive there and back. You can do it right here in a minute, and it'll just be ready for you all the time. And then I'll have an air compressor for filling up the air tires and stuff like that. So it's coming along. It's slow because of my contractor, like I said. It's summer. Come on in, check on the bees, sit, play with the goats for a little bit, work for an hour, go inside, cool off, get something to eat, come back out, work for an hour or 2, play with the goats, listen to the birds, go inside, take a nap, eat some dinner, and then maybe go out and do a little bit more work. Good day. Hope all is well. God bless.